Unexpected bills. I hate them. Do you like unexpected bills? Things that just come in the mail and you know that it's coming, but you don't really know when. Or you have a car repair that's, like we don't schedule car repairs generally. Maybe car oil changes, but not a repair. Like, something breaks. Things like that come up, and being prepared is pretty helpful. I've pretty much got to the point where I don't panic anymore when I have an unexpected bill or, a bill that I know is coming, but I've sort of forgotten that it's on its way. And then I open an email or I open the mail and there it is. So I wanted to talk today about budgeting for these kind of unexpected bills, having an emergency fund, basically. It is so useful. It helps me not be stressed out about that kind of stuff. I can sure find other ways to be stressed out, it seems like. But knowing that I have a really good cushion, which I haven't always had, is so helpful. In this video, I'm going to talk about having an emergency fund savings account, basically. I don't have it separate in any way. It's not like in a separate bank or credit union. It's my savings account. And having it funded, which just means there's money in it that I've put there, gives me really good peace of mind. I'm going to talk about how I funded it and how I continue to fund it because, I'm always using some of that money to pay for some of these bills that come up. They're not monthly bills. They're either emergencies or an annual bill that comes up. And you know you're going to have them at some point, whether it is an emergency repair or a dental, visit that, you have a toothache and you just can't live like that. You have to get it fixed. All these kind of things happen because we're alive and we're living, and it just happens. But being prepared is the key. And then I'm going to talk about some real examples of these bills that have come up recently for me. That's why I'm doing this video, because it's like, for about a month now, every week there's been something. And I knew they were coming, some of them. Some of them were surprises, not in a good way, but I have the money for it. But I'm going to explain to you some real examples of these kind of bills that I've had very recently. And I'll give you a few tips on how you can fund your own emergency savings account to build up a buffer so that whenever you do have these kind of annual bills or unexpected repairs or medical or dental costs or whatever it is, that you'll be better prepared. So I wanted to start with the first talking point here, and that is why having a separate savings account or an emergency fund is so critical for your sanity. There was a time when I didn't have this kind of emergency fund, or at least not the amount of money in the emergency fund that I really needed. And it was stressful. I don't like using credit or not paying a bill. I mean, if you don't even have a credit card or something, I've been there too. When I was much younger and you're just starting out, it can be really stressful because, like I mentioned, we're people, we're alive. We have things that come up, and if you don't have a cushion, it's panic time. It's scary. But for my sanity, over time, I was able to build up enough money in my savings account to where I could, use a credit card and pay it off at the end of the month. Or maybe it would take 2 or 3 months. I knew I'd be okay. This wasn't insurmountable and that I could never pay it off. I knew that gradually I'd get it done and I would be all right. And that is huge for your mental and physical health. I think being stressed out is really hard on us. It's not a good way for our bodies to live. So I treat an emergency fund as a mental safety net, basically, because it just releases and reduces a lot of that stress that we don't need. There's enough other things to be stressed out about at times. So the next talking point is, how did I fund my emergency savings account when I was just starting out? I would decline invitations to lunch or dinner or to go out for drinks with friends most of the time. I went occasionally, but very occasionally, because I knew I would rather have that money, even if it was just $10 or $20, go to my savings account rather than experiencing a couple drinks with friends or a meal that I knew I didn't need to spend the money on. And I am very practical. I always have been. So that was easy for me, and it still is. If you're impulsive and want to do everything with your friends, this might be harder. And this may not be the way for you to fund your emergency fund, but for me, it worked. It was a great way to just say, no, I can't this time. But I would go occasionally, like I said, maybe once a month, once every 2 months, I don't know. But I didn't do it very often because it stressed me out knowing I was spending money that I didn't really have to spend on that. So that's just how I've always operated. Now that I'm older, and I'm pretty much retired, but I'm doing this YouTube channel, and I treat it as a business because whenever I work on something, I want to do a good job. I want to try to help people. I want to make money. I'm not going to lie about that. I am monetized, and it's wonderful. So I get Social Security, and I have the YouTube income, and I do some other side hustles. And I like working. I really do. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have something I was doing that brought in some money. It makes me feel productive and useful. And as long as I'm able-bodied and have my brain in my head that I, still works okay, I'm probably always going to do something to earn some money. And that extra money goes a long way to funding my emergency fund so that I have the money to spend when things come up. So that's how I fund it now. The third thing I want to mention is these bills that have been coming up recently, within the last month, that some are annual, once a year, things that I always know that are going to come due about now. And others are, some of them are surprises. And I'm so thankful that I have my emergency savings account where I can just pay them all. It's not a problem. But still, when they all come due at once, it's like, great. I don't like spending the money. I would rather my savings account grow and grow and grow and, have $1 million in there. Well, that's never going to happen. But here we go. Here are some things that have come due recently that were expected and unexpected. An unexpected one that I'd kind of forgotten about was my car registration. I pay it for 2 years in a row. So every other year I have to pay this. But luckily it's only $107 for 2 years. That's not bad. So I go ahead and pay it because I don't like to mess with that kind of thing. It's just like, I'll pay it, send me the sticker, I'll put it on the back of my license plate, on the back of the car, and be done with it for 2 years. Some things I would rather pay like that just for the lack of hassle factor. So that was one. My heat pump that's up on my roof, it's an air conditioner / furnace, it does both. So I don't have 2 units, which is nice. I have an annual contract with a company that comes twice a year and does a tune-up and checks it for any problems and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what they do. They get a ladder and they go up on my roof. I don't ever go up there with them. So I am not sure. They may play cards while they're up there. I think they actually do something. But that came due. That was $187. And my unit, my heat pump, is older. It's pretty old. More than probably 15 years old. So I feel like this is sort of an insurance policy to take care of it. It's like an annual physical or dental cleanings because it's twice a year. So I let them come do that. If I paid another company or that company for just a single visit, it would be more than, half of this $187 a year. And any work that they do, if they find a problem, the labor is free if you have a contract. So that's a good savings. Any labor or installation, if they had to, install something or whatever, you just pay for the parts. So I do that. That was $187. And speaking of repairs, if they ever have to do any repairs or, whatever, labor, they found out that my, capacitor, some kind of capacitor needed to be replaced and the coils needed to be cleaned. So I said, sure. And that was $230. But for the coil cleaning, I got a thing in the mail from my utility company saying that if you had your coils cleaned on your heat pump, they would give you a refund or a rebate, whatever, of $50. So I'm going to get $50 back. I've already submitted that. As soon as the guy left and did this repair and the coil cleaning, I got online and I submitted the invoice. You had to, I just took a picture of it, attached it to the application or whatever it was. And I got an email back a few days later saying, we've received your application for the rebate and you will be receiving a check within 4 to 6 weeks. So it will be $180 instead of $230 with the rebate. So yay me, that was good. I didn't want to spend the money at all, but at least I'm getting some of it back. Another expense I had within the last month was new car tires. I think I've talked about this in another video. And it wasn't something I had to do, but they were pretty bald. They were 6 years old, and I thought, I don't drive that much, but to be safe, if you're out on the highway going 70 miles an hour, I didn't want a tire to blow or something and cause a wreck and get killed, or whatever. So I got new tires, and that was a little over $500. I didn't like spending the money, but again, I felt like that was something, after 6 years, they were due to be changed. Okay, what else? Oh, here's a little one. I got a new garden hose. It wasn't much. It was $15, but in the desert, the sun shines, it is hot. That combination just eats up plastic and rubber, and this old garden hose I had holes in it. I tried wrapping it with water resistant tape and it worked for a little while, and then it just started seeping out through the tape and there was no pressure. The garden hose was basically worthless. So, after using it a couple times like that, I realized this is not going to work, and I put it out for the trash and bought a new one. $15. Not a lot, but that was something I don't normally buy every month or, very often. And my donation to public broadcasting came in the mail recently. And I like to give money to NPR because they provide factual, unbiased, neutral, they don't take a stance. They just report the news. I like to support them. So I have the envelope over there. I haven't mailed it yet, but I'm going to give them $75. And that's it for the year. But I feel like, and I don't do a lot of donations like that, but that one's important to me because I think we need more honest, factual news. So those are all of my unexpected bills. I didn't total them up here. Let me do that real quick. 90. Okay. I just tallied them real quickly in my head from my list here on my computer that's in my lap. And it's about $1,200. That's a lot. These will not be things that come up next month. None of these, hopefully. I mean, I could have another garden hose blow or I could, need another repair to my car or my heat pump or something, but hopefully not. So $1,200, that's a lot. But it's typical for that to happen throughout the year or at some point in the year. And having the emergency fund is really nice. I wanted to just make a few suggestions for ways you could fund an emergency fund savings account if you need a little help with some ideas. You could go along with what I said about declining invitations out if you're so inclined to do that. To me, that was not important, and I still don't go out with friends and things very often. It's just not something that I want to do or that is important to me. So if you do that once a week, maybe, cut it back to once every 2 weeks, or, go and just have a drink and not a meal, or I don't know. You should do what you want in your life. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But for me, that was an easy way to save a little money here and there. And it was a good start. It was just, this is something I can do that I don't really care about spending the money on. I'd rather save it. So maybe there's something else that you could do. Like at work, if you stop for coffee every day, maybe only do that twice a week and save the money from the other 3 days. I don't know. There's probably something like that, if you think about it. Something else you can do, and I started doing this when I was much younger, when I realized I've got to get a savings account going. I would pay into my savings account every time I was paid by my employer. Even if it's $5, I mean, it'll add up. And it's a habit. Just starting the habit of saving some money. Every time you get paid, put some of it immediately into a savings account. If you can do $10 or 20 or 100 or 500, that's better. That's great. But do something. Put in $5 at least, just because you're saving some money. And then next month you can make a challenge. I'm going to double it every month, and then put in 10. Then the next month put in 20. Then the next month 40. Just like that, or whatever works for you. Make it a game. Challenge yourself with a friend and see, if that helps. Whatever works to get you saving money is a good idea. And, that rebate I talked about, I'm going to get from my utility company for the coil cleaning on my heat pump up on my roof. It's $50. That doesn't seem like a lot of money, but I will put that in savings because that's extra money. You could use birthday money. You could use side hustles. Like if you do some small thing that earns you some money, put it immediately into a savings account. Pretend you never got it. Like if you're paid by PayPal, start a PayPal savings account and put it in that. Just transfer it. Make it harder to access it somehow. But opening a savings account is easy. You can earn a little interest on it. It's separate from your checking so that you don't see it. Sometimes you think you might have more money, but if it's in savings, you'll realize, okay, I've got this much, not this much. So pay yourself. And another way I've done this, and I still do it, is sell some things. My HOA has a community yard sale twice a year, and I've been doing it each time for at least 2 years now. And I make close to or more than $100 each time. Yes, yard sales or garage sales, whatever you want to call them, are a lot of work. But if you're like me and you have more stuff than you need or you want, it's a good way it's a first place to get rid of it. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to sell it. That way I'll get some money back. It'll make me feel better about getting rid of it. And then if it doesn't sell, you can donate it or keep it or give it away, whatever you want to do. Or you could use Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or eBay or whatever works. But you can make money off things you have that you're just not using. You know, like those other, for clothes and purses and things. I can't remember the name of them. Poshmark, maybe. Is that one of them? Yeah. I've never done that because I'm not a clothes or purse person. I mean, I have clothes and I have purses, but I don't have things anybody else wants. This was from the thrift store. I'm not going to sell this, because it fits me, for one thing, and it isn't hideous. Those are my requirements. It's like, does it not look hideous, and does it fit me? So I keep all those clothes. But if I had fancy clothes, or fancy purses or shoes, and I wasn't wearing them, I'd sell them. Heck yeah. But I don't. But you might. And they might bring you some money that you could then put into your savings account, in your emergency fund. And that would be great. And if you're new here, I'm Peg. And if you're coming back and joining me for this video, thank you and welcome back. This is my YouTube channel, Do It Myself Peg, and I talk about frugal living and trying to save money and meal planning and, that kind of stuff. So if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like this one, give it a thumbs up. It helps out my channel so that I can keep making these kind of videos. It just, is a big boost for me, and I appreciate it. And I'd love it if you leave a comment and tell me if you have a savings account for emergencies, if you're going to start one, and what you think you could do to fund it, to add money to it. I would love to hear about this because you might have some great ideas that I didn't even think of. That's very possible and likely. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.